This one is for this weekend's new UFC main event between Johnny Walker and Jamahal Hill. I'm excited for this one for a few different reasons. First of all, I don't expect either of them to grapple a great deal. It wouldn't surprise me if we see Johnny Walker throwing a bit of grappling. Now he's been, training at SBG Island for a while. I think he might have settled into a more consistent game, but we'll talk about that in a little while. Jamahal Hill, I've been impressed with him in every one of his fights. I think his striking is very sharp. I think he's very certain of who he is as a fighter and what he's good at. And that's very useful against someone like Johnny Walker, who is very unpredictable. A bit less unpredictable now. He seems to have calmed down a lot more under the influence of John Kavanagh, which I think is good for him. But at the same time, that flair and that chaos in his game is something that made him so dangerous in the early days. Let's have a quick look at the tail of the tape. So Johnny Walker with a considerable amount more experience. 18-6 for Johnny Walker. 9-1 with 1 no contest for Jamahal Hill. Average fight time, much of a muchness really, obviously, because Johnny Walker's been in the UFC for a bit longer. But his average fight time probably was pushed up after that last 25-minute fight against Thiago Santos. As I said, slightly higher for him. Height and reach falls in Johnny Walker's favor. So 2 inches in height and 3 inches in reach. Of course, it could be a big key in this fight because both of these guys are strikers. Although what I will say is when we've seen Jamahal Hill fight people who are shorter than him, he uses his reach very well. When we've seen him fight people who are of a similar height or slightly bigger, say OSP for example, he closes their range down and he's very good at close range as well. So that it might be an advantage for Johnny Walker, but it might also just influence the game of Jamahal Hill, and that might actually favor him. Southpaw v Orthodox, of course, Johnny Walker does switch. Jamahal Hill does prefer to be Southpaw majority of the time. We do see him switch occasionally, but he was switching in the OSP fight more because of OSP being Southpaw, and it was kind of, I think DC picked up on it in the commentary. It seemed less familiar to him to be in the same stance as his opponent. So we saw him switch a few times, but predominantly a southpaw, very dangerous as a southpaw, has this kind of long wandering lead hand, and then everything is set up with the straight to the body and the body and head kick. Something else that Jamahal does really well is mix up his body and head attacks. Back to his contenders fight against Popek, he was able to smash the body with the kick, and then that sets up other options as well. We saw him do the same thing against OSP. We saw him strike into the body with straight punches. Very, very effective with his boxing and with his kicking game, but he also mixes them very well and mixes his targets very well. One of the reasons why I've been so impressed with him. With Johnny Walker, there's like I said, there's a lot of chaos and a lot of flair to his game. Spinning attacks, flying knees, a lot of wild things. But if we actually look at what he's kind of settled on in his last couple of fights, he's got very good kicks. He's got very good front kicks to the body, very good low kicks, and that hop side kick that John Jones used so well. Johnny Walker's also got a long reach, so he is able to catch people with kind of long swiping hooks and stuff. But he doesn't seem as comfortable in the boxing range as Jamahal Hill does. One thing I will say, Hill is a little bit kind of chin in the air when he's punching. Sometimes he steps into range and he lands good punches and he's very fast, but his chin tends to come up and he tends to punch from his shoulders. And against someone like Johnny Walker, who has a lot of chaotic, spinning attacks and stuff that he can fall back upon, especially when he's under pressure, they could be a problem for him. Striking output, strikes landed per minute, is much higher for Jamahal Hill. He does have a higher striking output. He does like to get into people's faces and really use good Muay Thai. As I said, long leading hand to kind of test his opponent. Everything's from that left side, the left hand and the left kick, but he also does close into range and use really good Muay Thai knees as well. Again, that we saw in his Contender Series fight. Sometimes he does leave himself overextended, and we do see him, pay for that. He does get taken down a couple of times against Stosic, but I was impressed with him scrambling back to his feet, especially given the fact that Darko is such a compact, powerful fighter. It was almost like he didn't even want to bother trying to waste the energy to hold him down. So I do think that this is going to be a predominantly a striking affair. I think it might be smart for Johnny Walker to clinch Jamahal Hill and try and take him down a bit. I do think he's going to be the physically stronger, more imposing fighter. I mean, not only is he the bigger fighter height and reach-wise, but He's also, he's also physically more conditioned. You could say Jamahal Hill could probably gain maybe 5 or 6 pounds of muscle and probably lose the same equivalent of body fat, and that would make him more effective, at doing what he already does well. Johnny Walker's so dangerous and so explosive, and he is a huge individual as well. A very big human being, the kind of size that you would think that it would feel like to face John Jones. Long arms, long legs, switches stance and moves through and cuts range down very well. It might be worth Jamahal Hill moving him into close range and force him into a boxing range where he looks most uncomfortable. And that's where Johnny Walker can maybe use some grappling to negate that range. 100% takedown accuracy for Johnny Walker. Of course, he's not taking people down very often. They've both got around 60% takedown defense, slightly higher for Johnny Walker. But again, I don't expect a great deal of grappling unless Johnny Walker sees it as an advantage to kind of slow the fight down there. I think this one's going to be an absolute banger. I think it is going to fulfill that main event spot perfectly, and it'll give us something else to look forward to next week in the Fiziev against RDA fight, which is also going to be a banger. And I'll look forward to breaking that one down as well.